Hello everyone, let me introduce myself. My name is Alifah Oktaviani. You can call me Alifah or Lifah. My ID number is 222322008. I'm from class 3A and I want to tell you the paper about study abroad's contribution to critical thinking and world citizenship. Wait, before that, do you know who is the writer in paper Study Abroad's Contribution to Critical Thinking and World Citizenship? Don't know? You don't know? Okay, the writer in paper about Study Abroad's Contribution to Critical Thinking and World Citizenship is Min Nguyen. And this paper was written in 2012, and then this paper published online by Cambridge University Press. Oh, this is amazing, right? And then I want to tell you the body in this paper, but before that I want to tell you why was this paper written. Okay, why this paper was written? Because this paper defends Richard Powell and Linda Elder's two theses. First, creative and critical thought are interdependent, and study abroad incenses both. And it argues that these gains can lead to the cultivation of fair-minded, creative, and critical individuals and societies. Fostering, the paper recommends policies and practices to ensure these gains. Okay, I will tell you the benefits of study abroad. Study abroad is typically described as life-changing, right? And a defining moment, or so participants say. Study abroad helps shape a participant's life for years after the experience. In 2002, the Institute for the International Education of Students, or IISMA, conducted the largest survey of study abroad alumni ever. The IISMA Abroad 50-year alumni survey confirms the long-term impact of study abroad on a participant's personal, academic, and professional life. The institute gathered from 3,723 respondents who took part in IISMA study abroad programs between 1950 and 1919. Show that study abroad positively influenced the maturity, education, and career path of participants. When asked about personal development, 96% said study abroad increased their self-confidence, and 97% said it enhanced their maturity, and then 89% said it empowered them to tolerate ambiguity, and 84% said it caused them to modify their socio-political positions. When asked about intercultural development, 98% said study abroad expanded their understanding of their own cultural values and biases. And then 82% said it helped them develop a more refined way of looking at the world. And then 90% said it inspired them to cultivate a more diverse circle of friends. And 64% said it encouraged diverse circle of friends. No. and 64% said it encouraged them to explore other cultures. And then, when queried about academic commitment, 80% said study abroad raised their interest in academic study, and then 86% said it strengthened their commitment to foreign language study, and then 87% said it helped shape their subsequent educational experience, and 64% said it influenced their decision to attend graduate school. And then, how reliable are the self-report data? Given the temptations to over-report good behavior and under-report bad behavior, could the high percentage of survey respondents who claim to have been positively transformed by their study abroad experience be an artifact of social desirability? While such as possibility can't be ruled out, its actuality is yet to be established. Besides, numbers of students exist that employ objective measurement tools such as the pre-test and post-test of specific skills and confirm the advantages of study abroad beyond the cultural and linguistic benefits. Okay, students who participate in study abroad not only improve their intercultural communication skills to a greater degree than those who don't, but also achieve a significantly higher level of intercultural communication. And finally, living abroad has been found to boost creativity. And then the important is adaptation. Adaptation may be the key psychological element that explains why living abroad is associated with creativity. Because culture is such a pervasive force, impacting and shaping every aspect of one's life. And then adapting oneself to a new culture, learning how to behave and think in a different way may make individuals chronically aware of multiple perspectives and approach when dealing with mundane. While traveling overseas might not enhance creativity, living in foreign land and adapting to a new culture world. And then the inseparability of creativity and critically, study abroad promotes the development of not only creative thinking but also critical thinking for two reasons. First, according to the commonly accepted model of critical thinking developed by Richard Powell and Linda Elder, creative thinking and critical thinking are so interwoven that neither can be separated from the other without an essential loss to both. Second, in line with the Powell-Elder model, certain traits of mind, the growth of several of which study abroad has been shown to advance, constitute critical thinking, and the traits are interdependent such that the acquisitions, possessions, retentions, employment, development, and enhancement of one requires the same of the others, and our critical thinking will be compromised if we are severely lacking in any of these traits. Because of the inseparability of creative thought and critical thought, as well as the independence of the intellectual traits constitutive of critical thinking, to the extent that study abroad promotes the development of creative thinking and constitutive traits such as intellectual humility and intellectual empathy. Study abroad promotes the development of critical thinking. Whereas creative thinking is divergent, critical thinking is convergent. Whereas creative thinking tries to create something new, critical thinking seeks to assess worth or validity in something that exists. And then, whereas creative thinking is carried on by violating accept principles, critical thinking is carried on by applying accept principles. Although creative and critical thinking may very well be different sides of the same coin, they are not identical. There are three reasons for rejecting this critique. Firstly, to maintain the inseparability thesis is not to identify creative with critically. Inseparability is not identity. That Helen of Troy is inseparable from her love. Secondly, the objection assumes that the creative or critical distinction maps neatly onto the divergent or convergent distinction, but this assumption is tendentious. And then Paul and Elder conceive of critical thinking as the art of analyzing and evaluating thinking with a view to improving it. Critical thinking is self-directed, self-disciplined, self-conscious, and self-corrective thinking. The reason intellectual integrity requires intellectual autonomy is intellectual integrity consists in being the true to one's own thinking, being consistent in the application of the standards one uses to assess one's own thinking. Holding oneself to the same robust standards of evidence one expects others to meet, and acknowledging inconsistency in one's own thought, feeling, action metrics. And then study abroad spurs the growth of several intellectual traits. Recall the IISMA survey. Firstly, 98% said study abroad expanded their understanding of their own cultural biases, and 82% said it helped them develop a more sophisticated way of looking at the world. Secondly, 84% said it caused them to modify their socio-political positions, and 64% said it encouraged them to explore other cultures, and then 89% said it empowered them to tolerate ambiguity, and 90% said it inspired them to cultivate a more diverse circle of friends. Given the interdependence of intellectual traits, if study abroad furthers the development of intellectual humility, intellectual courage, intellectual empathy, and intellectual perseverance, it also furthers the development of intellectual integrity, intellectual autonomy, and then confidence in reason and fair-mindedness. In addition to critical individuals and society, study abroad helps cultivate citizens of the world and the single community to which they belong. Study abroad thus makes a contribution to the realizations of the Diogenean ideal of cosmopolitanism, so named in honor of Diogenes the Cynic, the first thinker to have called himself a citizen of the world, cosmopolites. Study abroad, while not inexpensive, fosters the development of informed, critical, and creative thinkers who communicate detectively. borrow a signature press from my university's quality and assessment plan. And then, considering adaptation is the critical mechanism that underlies the robust correlation between living overseas and insensate creativity. Study abroad programs ought to be structured in such a way as to increase participants' chance of adapting to the host country's culture. Okay, and then for closing, I will tell you the benefit of reading this paper is that we can know about critical thinking of study abroad contributions. We can know what the benefits of studying abroad are, what the disadvantage of studying abroad are, and we can also know that studying abroad can change our lives if we think critically. In my opinion, the weakness of this paper is that it doesn't explain in detail why the benefits are like that. The reasons why you should study abroad are not explained in detail. But so far, this paper is very useful for people who are confused and then and hesitant about continuing to study or study abroad, for people who want to exchange students abroad. And then the future action for me is that from the start I really want to take part in the independent campus program like IISMA or PMM, Independent Student Associations, but my parents didn't allow that. So maybe I will take advantage of the independent campus program by joining the teaching lecture program, and I'm also used to making own program to improve my critical thinking, such as after school or after study. I have to understand and record everything the lecturer has learned, and I also like to fantasize about planning a business and much more. And then maybe that's all from me. That's all I'm using, and I'm sorry. I am Alifah Oktaviani from class 3A. See you in the next video. Goodbye.